What's up, guys? My name is Riley, aka Pokemon Trader. I've been buying, collecting, selling, investing in Pokemon for the past 11 years or so. And it's been a little bit since I made a video because I just got busy with other stuff. Started the channel, tried to upload and edit it in a way that maybe other PokeTubers aren't really doing. And so I saw kind of an opportunity there and just wanted to make some videos, make some content. I enjoy watching the content. I enjoy reading about it, commenting on Reddit, whatever. And so I figured, why not? I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it fairly successfully, so might as well make a video about it. So this video is going to be a little bit different than my other more highly edited videos on my channel. I just wanted to do a longer form video that's just kind of an information dump, a knowledge dump of everything that I've learned and all the experience that I've had and wisdom I've gained in the collecting and investing, primarily investing space. So for those of you who don't know, who haven't seen any of my other videos, like I said at the beginning, I've been doing this since about 2014-15. Well, originally I started collecting when Base Set came out in 1999. I was 8, almost 9 years old when it first came out and just fell in love with it. Collected, obviously, just as a kid for a couple years. And then, you get to like that 11, 12, 13-year-old age, and I had more important things to do that wasn't Pokemon. And so I got out of it. And then I guess I was about 23. I'm 34 now. Yeah, so 2014, I was 23, and I started collecting again. Pokemon Go had either just come out, which was 2015, or it was about to come out. I can't really remember. It was somewhere around that time frame. But it was about to come out, and the hype was coming back, and I was the first of my friend group to get back into it, and I just started buying up collections. This is pre-Facebook Marketplace, and for those of you who can't imagine that, we just used Craigslist. It was essentially Facebook Marketplace. So if that gives you any idea of how long I've been doing this, Facebook Marketplace wasn't a thing. You just did Craigslist. So I would just look for people's collections on Craigslist and see what I could find. And whatever I need for my collection or wanted, I would keep and sell the rest as raw to make my money back. That's usually what I did, is I'd buy it. Let's say I bought a collection for $500. I would sell $500 worth of raw cards, and then I'd grade, maybe 5, 10, 20, however many cards were in there that were gradable, and make even more money that way. And I just kept putting it back in, not necessarily just into Pokemon. At the time, I specifically remember telling myself, I don't want this to be a job. I didn't want it to be a job. I had just become a nurse or was on my way to becoming a nurse. I was like, that's my career. That's my job. I don't want to do that with Pokemon. I want to just do it for fun. And I just used the money as like beer money and buying little things that I wanted, buying Warhammer, just different. I used it for all my hobbies because I didn't have a lot of discretionary income at the time. So I would just use the money on whatever. Usually I would buy more Pokemon with it. But that's how I started. And back then you would grade with PSA. And I literally remember getting deals for grading a card for $4 with PSA, because at the time, nobody cared about Pokemon. And again, at the time, I wasn't doing Modern at all, did not care about Modern at all. All I wanted was vintage WotC stuff. That's all I was doing. So I did that, just vintage WotC, for about 4 or 5 years till 2020 or so, when the COVID boom happened. And I started paying more attention to Modern. And it was around that time, 2020, 21, when I started buying Modern. And I bought my first sealed booster box case, which was a case of Fusion Strike booster boxes, and didn't think to keep the case sealed. So I cracked it, opened one, got the Gengar VMAX Altar, graded it, got a 10. And so then I just had 5, and I sold it for like $400, I think, at the time. And at the time, nobody liked Fusion Strike, right? So everyone hated it. And I got the case for like $550. And I just kind of thought to myself, well, there's no way I can lose money on this. It's not going to go any lower than that. And sadly, I sold it about 2 years ago, right when it hit MSRP, like in between 150 and 200. I sold it. Obviously, I didn't know what I was doing. I just was like, oh, hey, I can double my money, so I'll just do that. If I had known what I've learned since then, especially over the last 2 years of modern investing and doing it really seriously, obviously I wouldn't have sold it. So that's kind of my history. Again, started about 11 years ago, really just started as collecting and selling to fund my hobbies. And then over the last 5 years or so, it got more strict investing. I got more strict with my investing knowledge and what I was doing. I kind of stopped looking at it just as a hobby. It was a hobby, yes, but also an investment vehicle. And that's what I do now. So I still master sets every once in a while. Like the most recent one was 151, of course, because I'm an OG 90s kid. And that was a set I really wanted to master. So I did. But besides that, I don't really master sets that often. I'll just collect cards here and there. I don't really care for PSA 10 slabs. I just sell them because the premium is so crazy. But that's a little bit about my history, how I got started. And I've been doing it, like I said, for the past 10 to 11 years. So longer than 99.9% of people in the space currently. So I've gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom over the years, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. So this is kind of designed to be like for beginners and kind of just a dump of all the information. There's no way to get all the information out, but as much as I can in one video, right? So first off, if you're just getting into Pokemon, or you're into it as a kid, now you're doing it as an adult, maybe with your kids, as I do, there's a lot of new things than when we were kids, right? Back in the day, there were booster boxes. They just have 36 booster packs in them. And nobody really thought about sealed investing. Everyone just kind of opened them and collected the cards, and maybe you sold the cards, and that was it. But nowadays, there are a ton more products. So much so that it's overwhelming getting into it. And that's how I felt in like 2020, 2021. I just was buying stuff and I didn't really know what I was doing, right? I master setted like the McDonald's collection and Celebrations because it was relatively easy. I tried going for Evolving Skies, which was stupid, but ended up with a couple of the Umbreon and the Dragonite at Altards. I'll show them here. And graded those just recently. I actually forgot I had them, and I graded them. They came back as 10s. But anyways, there are a ton of products and things to know about getting into, especially modern investing. And I'm going to be speaking particularly about sealed investing because it's a little bit more risk averse. It's a little bit safer than sealed or slab investing. Those tend to swing just wildly, and I don't really like that. I do have a number of 10s that I am keeping for longer term investment, but in general, it's all sealed. I can show my collector here. I hit 100K a few months ago, and I sold off about $17,000 worth of it. A lot of it were just singles. Like I had a unlimited base Fossil Jungle master set, and I sold that, including some sealed booster box cases and just mostly stuff I didn't want, or the stuff I wanted the least. I sold it all to one guy and just kind of reinvested it. All right, so getting back to where do you start? If you're just getting into investing, especially modern investing, and again, primarily sealed, where do you start? Well, there are a couple key rules that you need to know. Typically in investing, like on online forums, Reddit and such, people talk about how sealed is king. And that is true. Sealed is king. If you want to rip packs, go for it. You want to master set something, go for it. At some point, you'll want to just buy singles and not just keep ripping packs because it just becomes a money pit. But if you're investing, keeping it sealed really is the way to go. There might be other plays with singles or raw cards here and there, but the main vehicle for your investment should be sealed products. So sealed is king. The next thing people say, which is kind of changing, but we'll get to that in a second, is booster boxes are king, right? Booster boxes have been around now for 26 years in the US, since 1999. almost 27 years, I guess. And they're still around, still have 36 packs, and that is king. It is the best bang for your buck if you're buying at MSRP. And there are sealed collectors who just want to collect the booster boxes. There are sealed investors who just want to invest in them. There are rip and shippers, people who just want to open them, right? And they're going to tend to buy the booster boxes because they know, for one, it hasn't been tampered with or less likely to be tampered with, right? As opposed to buying just single booster packs. So they just tend to be the best vehicle for investing and collecting and everything, right? Because you're getting the most packs that you can possibly get in one product. So booster boxes are king. Now, the reason I said this is sort of changing is because there is a newer product that's come out, and that is the Pokemon Center ETB. Now, what is that? Well, it started with the ETB, which is an Elite Trainer box. It comes with, I believe, 8 packs. It's got some dice in there, some coins. It's actually got a really helpful booklet that shows all the cards from that set, which is really nice. It's got some sleeves in there. It's kind of designed as like a one-stop shop for kids. Like, you can get your dice, your sleeves, you get some packs to open, all that stuff, right? So that's an Elite Trainer box, or ETB. And those are pretty good, but the only second to the booster box would be the Pokemon Center ETB. And what that is a specific stamped version of the ETB that you can only get from the Pokemon Center website. And the reason why I say it's coming up on the booster box is just right now, if you can get it at MSRP, the value is, the percent gain is even greater than booster boxes. And you're paying a fraction of the cost, right? MSRP for a Pokemon Center ETB is about $60, and MSRP for a booster box, if you get it on the Pokemon Center website, like $163, I think. So you can get about 2.5 Pokemon Center ETBs for the price of one booster box. And the percent gain that you can have from those Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes is absolutely insane. Now, the reason I would still say booster boxes are king over that is because they have a way longer proven track record, right? It's been 26, almost 27 years of booster boxes. We know they do well. We know it's a solid investment. And the Pokemon Center ETB in the current iteration has really only been going for the Scarlet and Violet era. And the reason for that is because there are stamped, Pokemon Center stamped promos inside the ETBs. Now, the regular ETBs come with those promos as well, but they're not Pokemon Center stamped. And if there's one way to get collectors hot and heavy, it's to make something slightly more unique by putting a stamp on it. I don't get it, I don't collect it, I don't care about it, but the investment potential is there. And the reason why it's a little bit riskier is because we don't know what the future is. It looks to me like the Pokemon Center ETB is probably being overhyped right now. I would be very nervous buying into the newer Pokemon Center ETBs at market rate. Now, if you can get it at MSRP, do it all day long. So those are the two main investment vehicles that you want to utilize, the booster box and the Pokemon Center ETB. Now, below that tier, you have just regular ETBs, which I do have quite a few of, mostly Sword and Shield, but I do have some prismatic ETBs. But again, I vied for just the sealed case because at this current time, getting sealed cases is incredibly difficult. You can't just order from Walmart or Pokemon Center and get a sealed case like you used to, right? Like, I would just order from Walmart or Pokemon Center or TCG Player, whatever, and just get a case when you ordered 6 because that was the easiest way to ship it to you and they didn't care. Now it's not the case. Now it's much more difficult to get a sealed case. So if you're going to get the regular ETBs, I would suggest going for the sealed case if you can. If not, the ETBs are still good, right? So you've kind of got 1, booster boxes, 2, maybe number 1, you could kind of switch these out. The Pokemon Center ETB with a little bit, I think, riskier, especially at the market rate. And then you have regular ETBs, and beneath that, you have basically things that you're just going to pick up if you see them in store. Things like booster bundles, collection boxes, things of that nature. So you have all those different collection boxes, build-in battle stadium, build-in battle kit, all these different products, different SKUs that you'll find. A lot of them are just collection boxes. You got tins, Pokeball tins, all of those things. Those I would shy away from for the most part, unless you're just going to buy them at Walmart and flip them. I would probably stay away from those for the most part. Now, there is a caveat here that I'll get into in a little bit, and that is if you can find a good deal, always take it. So I'll come back to that in a little bit and give you an example of what I mean by that, right? Because that could be taken a lot of ways. All right, so those are all the different types of products that are out there. Again, it's probably too long to list every single one, but you can kind of separate them out into levels of investment and how good of an investment it would be. I forgot to add one that is also a very good investment vehicle. I would put this probably right below Pokemon Center ETBs, and that is the UPC. Right? Again, kind of a newer product, but they tend to come with a lot of packs, really good promos, sometimes metal cards in some of the UPCs. It's a really premium, ultra premium box, and those tend to do really well. I have a bunch of 151 UPCs I got from Walmart back in the day for $89.99 when they were first coming out, and nobody wanted them because they tend to be more expensive MSRP wise compared to like an ETB. And just a lot of people didn't want them. They're a little bit bigger, bulkier, but they've proven to be really good investments. But again, newer, so I wouldn't put them quite on the level of Booster Box. So one thing I want to add here is just a little tidbit of advice that worked for me and is a problem I see with a lot of newer investors or sealed collectors is this draw to just rip it, right? Like if I have 2 booster bundles, a collection box, and an ETB. The draw, and that's all I have, right? That's my whole collection. The draw to rip it is strong, and you just want to open it, right? We're all, even if we're investors, a lot of us are just still collectors too, and we like opening Pokemon packs, whether it's by ourselves or with our kids, whatever the case, with our friends. You just want to rip it, right? So if you only have a few random items. And again, this is just what I've seen in my day-to-day, talking to friends, seeing what people say online. My brothers have just gotten into it recently. When you only have a few random products, you really just want to rip it. And most people just end up opening it. And so the way to get around that I see, and this might not be possible for everybody, but if you can figure out a way, get a second job, whatever the case is, to do this, I think it's worth it. And that is to spend as much as you can, right? You don't need to do something stupid, but spend as much as you can all at one time, all at once, to get as much sealed product as you can. So that's what I did. And then keeping it sealed was a lot easier. And especially buying cases, right? Because if you have a sealed case and it's sealed, you already know that there's a premium on sealed cases. Then the drive to open it is much less. What are you going to do? Open 6 booster boxes? Like, that's insane. Most people aren't going to do that. I don't do that. And so when you have the sealed case, you're much less likely to open it. Whereas if it's just one loose ETB, the draw to rip it is much higher. So that's my advice. Not everyone can do this, but if you can find a way, I would suggest, and you're serious about investing, I would suggest doing it. Buy as much as you can, in as large of quantities as you can, in as much cardboard as you can. And what I mean by that is sealed cases, right? It's like, well, who cares? It's just 6 booster boxes in a cardboard box. Yeah, it is, but it makes it really easy to ship. It protects the booster boxes inside. There's already a premium on having this sealed case. And some of that's just collectors being collectors, right? We like the extra wrapping, but some of that is also knowing that it hasn't been tampered with, and that it's been protected its entire life, right? If it's still in the sealed case, it's never seen the light of day. You know it's going to be in premium condition as much as possible inside that case. So get as much as you can in sealed cases as you can, and then keep it all sealed. Just store it in a box. So back to something that I mentioned earlier about getting a good deal, right? So you kind of know the products to look for, but when should you buy them? Should you buy them at market price right now, right? End of 2025, it's December. And just to let you know what I'm doing, I'm not really buying anything at market price. A few things when they've dipped, I've bought them. Prismatic came down. Prismatic sealed ETB cases came down to about $1,000. I bought 2. Journey Together. I got a sealed, enhanced booster box case at about MSRP on the secondary market when it dipped down the lowest. So things like that I will jump on. But besides that, I'm not buying Destin Rivals at $400. I'm just not. And you just have to be okay with missing out. And maybe you miss out, and it is what it is. Sad day. Hopefully they reprint it. But nobody really knows if they will. Again, you kind of know the products to look for. I'm not really buying on the secondary market right now. So what do you do? Well, what I mentioned before is look for good deals. And that sounds really ambiguous and arbitrary, and it kind of is, because there is some discretion that you need to take here. But what do I mean by that? What do I mean by a good deal? Well, the best way I can describe it is to give you an example. The Journey Together, I thought was a good deal, so that was an example, right? The Prismatic ETBs, when they came down, that's a good deal. Another good deal I see is buying good sets at big box stores when they restock. So the latest one is I've just been buying. I really like Destin Rivals. Like I said, I actually think it's an amazing set, even though I'm not willing to buy the booster boxes at market price. But if you can find sleeved booster packs, compile them into art sets, you can find the EV Cosmos Hollows, premium check lane blisters. They're like $5 or $6. I think those are great. I have about 100 of those, and I have about 160 sleeved boosters, again, divided into as many art sets as I can make just to add a little bit of premium. So let me take a rabbit trail real quick and just describe what I mean by art set. So most sets, when they come out, there are 4 different booster pack arts, and on them we'll have just different pictures, right? Destin Rivals, you have Mewtwo, Cynthia's Garchomp, Ethan's Ho-Oh, and one other one. Well, again, collectors being collectors, they want to have all of the arts. If they want to display it on their shelf, it's way cooler to have all of the 4 arts than just 4 of the same, right? So these are little ways that you can gain a little extra value, right? So if you go into Walmart and you buy Destin Rivals sleeve boosters for about $5, compile it into a set of 4, you can gain an additional 20-25% profit on that instantly. So buying certain sets, certain products at MSRP can be a really good deal. And another way that you can get a good deal is going against what I said earlier, right? Booster boxes are king, Pokemon Center ETBs. Generally, the advice is to stay away from collection boxes. Generally, but there is always an exception to the rule. And my exception to the rule is when it's a good deal. So another deal that I took up recently was I bought 3 sealed cases of the Mewtwo EX Destin Rival box. And you're like, well, you're not supposed to get collection boxes. Generally, yes. But when it's a great set, Destin Rivals, and it has notable Pokemon with good art on the front, Mewtwo and Giovanni, right? I'll put a picture right here. That is something that you want to look out for. Stay away from the Palafin box and instead get the Mewtwo box or a Blastoise box. The Venusaur EX boxes just came out. Those can be a great deal, or can be a great buy if you find it at a good deal. So again, we're looking for good deals. Another example of a good deal that happened recently. Again, most of this is going to be in big box stores because that's the only place that you can find product for a good deal. They just happen to have Paradox Rift sleeved boosters at this Dollar General in the middle of nowhere that I was driving by. And they were listed at $450, already below MSRP. And turns out, I didn't know this at the time, but if you buy $75 or more at Dollar General in trading cards or toys, you get an additional, I think, 25% off. So I ended up getting 30 Paradox Rift sleeved boosters for about $3.36 a pack. And they're selling on the secondary market for $8 or $9 at the time. That is a deal that you can't pass up, that you can't beat that. Instant 200% gains or whatever it is, 250%. You can't beat that anywhere. I don't care if you're looking at booster boxes, whatever. That is such a good deal, you can't pass it up. And again, it's a set that people don't really care about right now. And that's another piece of advice that I want to give you guys, is don't buy into the FOMO, right? There's always going to be the set, the card that people are hyped about. You know, right now, Ascended Heroes just got announced, and some product got released for pre-order, and people are just going bananas for it. And I mean, I would like to get some, but I'm not going to buy a PC ETB for $450 pre-order. That's a bad deal. So stay away from the products that people are currently going after. If you see a giant spike in a product, you know that you probably want to stay away from it. Well, you want to do research, and where most of us do our research is probably two categories. Number one would be direct observation of what the products are selling for. And the places that you can gain that knowledge, the top two would be eBay and TCG Player. Now, as things have gone, most people are using TCG Player more, it seems, because they have a nice little graph on there that shows you the price chart and where it's gone in the last month, 3 months, 6 months, or a year. And that's amazing. That data is huge. You can see real time how products are selling, what was the most recent sales, and if you're doing cards, in what condition. That is huge. So TCG Player, make an account on there. You can start selling cheap products, gain some reputation, but use it primarily right now, if you're just beginning, as a way to research. And again, eBay. So with eBay, a couple caveats. You can't just search the term and look at the products, right? That's just what's listed. And even going to the sold listings, if things are listed as buy it now, as opposed to auction, when it's listed as buy it now and sold, well, if the seller took the best offer, someone offered them, let's say they listed a booster box for $500, someone offered them $400, and they took that offer, eBay doesn't let you know that on the face. So really, you don't even really want to go to ebay.com to look at this. A site that I use is called 130point. That's 130point.com. I'll put it up on the screen. And that will show you, it scrubs the eBay website and will show you the exact sale price for each item. That's the kind of data that you want to use. What are these boxes or cards actually selling for most recently? So those are the two sites that you want to use in the first category for doing research. The second category, which I can't stress enough, is YouTube, right? Watching videos like this to just gain as much information as you can. It is insanely valuable, infinitely valuable, I might even say, that you can just gain all of this knowledge and wisdom from people who have been doing it longer than you, right? That's what I did. I just got on YouTube years ago and started watching these Pokemon YouTubers or investors and just listening to them, right? Listen to it on your commute, listen to it while you work out. I drive a lot for work, so I listen to it all the time. I keep up on it just by listening while I drive. And to give you some real world examples of who I listen to, number one, the GOAT, Rudy from Alpha Investments. Now, his main thing is actually Magic. So he talks a lot about Magic, he talks about other TCGs, but Pokemon is up there and he talks about it pretty frequently. He is the GOAT. He is the greatest and has been doing it longer than most people and more successfully than most people, right? So if you look at a guy like that, he's been doing it longer. He's probably pushing, I mean, he won't say exactly, but $100 million in total investments, right? Cardboard, real estate, art, Lego, all that stuff, stocks. So he clearly has some good knowledge and he's been doing it longer than you, more successfully than you, better than you in every way, in every metric, better than me. Of course, I'm going to go to him and just listen, just glean wisdom from him and hear what he has to say. So he's great for just knowing what's going on in the market, right? Every once in a while, he'll drop little tidbits of insider information that you won't get anywhere else. You can't beat that. Another couple that I would highly recommend, and this isn't everyone, these are just the ones that I listen to, would be Pokeoz. He is an Australian, right? Play on the Wizard of Oz, and he's an Aussie. He just talks about purely Pokemon investing and analyzing best sets, things like that. That's mostly his arena, is analyzing what are the best sets. Another really good one would be Pokebeard, and I use him mostly for market analysis, right? He has a Monday, Market Monday and Falling Friday. On Mondays, he looks at what's been going up in the past week, and Friday, what's been going down in the past week. And it's just great, all in one place, information for what's going on currently in the market. Another really good one would be Nostalgianomics. He kind of just yoinked his whole personality right from Rudy, which is kind of shameless and funny, but he's got great advice, very similar to Rudy, but he only talks about Pokemon, which is great, because if you just want to hear about Pokemon, which is pretty much all I want, he's another great source to go to. All right, so let's talk about another thing that a lot of investors ask on online forums, YouTube questions, whatever it is, comments. When do I sell? Should I sell now? Well, that's kind of a difficult question to answer because I'm not you. I don't know your financial status or financial state, so it's hard to say exactly, but there are some fundamentals that you can abide by. And typically with investing, you want to wait anywhere from 3 to 10 years. Now, most commonly you'll hear 5 to 10 years, which is good, but the way things have gone over the last 5 years especially, but up to 10, 3 years can be a good amount of time as well. So typically when you're thinking about investing, you're going to want to keep it longer term. And this is another piece of information that you will need going into this. Another point before you start investing is, what era should I invest in? Well, some basic knowledge that you need before you get into Pokemon investing is what products are currently in print. So when we're talking about in-print products for Pokemon, how it typically works is you have, right, step one, the entirety of Pokemon history. Well, within that, it's broken down into set blocks, right? So you have the Sword and Shield block, you have the Scarlet and Violet block, Sun and Moon, Black and White, X and Y, whatever the case. You have about a 2-year window that they have those sets come out in that block, right? So for Scarlet and Violet, you have about 2 years, SV01 up through SV whatever it is, 11. And throughout that, you have all the different sets that come out. Now, there is no hard and fast rule for the Pokemon Company. They can do whatever they want and do whatever they want. But history speaks to the fact that they don't typically reprint product outside of about a 2-year window. So from the time a product first comes out, for about 2 years, that set is free game for reprinting. Now that's important to know because if you're trying to sell in under the 2 years, there's a lot of volatility. Once things get outside that 2-year window, it starts to become a lot less risky and a lot less volatile. And that's kind of why I say you should keep the product for at least 3 years. Really, the 5 to 10 year is sort of the standard because you're well outside that 2-year print window. You know, several years past that, the product has become more and more rare. And that's the other thing with sealed investing, right? Is that with single cards, that number of cards, whatever, say it's the PSA 10 Moonbryon from Evolving Skies, that number is only ever going to go up, right? It's either staying the same or going up. And it's the exact opposite for sealed product because there are always people, there are rip and shippers who are opening packs, YouTubers who open really rare packs like PokeRev will open Evolving Skies periodically. So the sealed product is always dwindling. It's becoming less and less over time. So it's like buying a regular stock, except that the amount of stocks that you can buy is always dwindling. Meaning just by the sheer nature of it, the price is going to go up. Let alone the older it gets, the rarer it gets, the more aged, it's more nostalgic, things like that. Even without that, even if demand starts to drop off, it's okay because the number of actual sealed boxes left in the market have dropped off significantly. All right, so hopefully this made sense. Hopefully it wasn't too rambly. I can tend to get off on tangents and bounce around from idea to idea. So hopefully editor Pokemon Trader does a good job and puts it all in order and makes sense to you guys. But if you liked it, let me know. I actually really like reading comments from people and responding. It's just fun. Like I said, in some of my other videos, all my real life friends, none of them are involved in any kind of TCG. My brothers recently got back into it, so I can talk to them about it. But up until that point, it was just me. So it was only, I was just engaging with people online about it. So it's fun to see your guys' comments, what you think. Leave me some criticism, whatever you want. Like and subscribe. Peace.